where most goals come from in football, right? But what teams are doing is they're literally congesting that part of the pitch, stopping Arsenal from creating there. So it's a difficult one to answer. You could maybe throw more attacking players into the lineup. You could maybe play more players up high, but you've got to respect the fact that teams can counter on you quite quickly. I mean, yesterday, Palace, we had to respect with Palace yesterday the fact that when they defend in a five, they got two wing backs, particularly Munoz, who are really good in transition. And then they got two runners off Mateta. They play the ball up to Mateta. They have two runners from midfield, and then wing backs go into offensive positions. And they do that in a counter-attack sort of style. So we had to respect that yesterday.
Right.
I think generally in the games that I've seen, yesterday was a poor example because I don't think we played well yesterday. I think because we put a lot of energy and intensity into the Madrid game, I think that affected the performance yesterday. Saka had been ill all week, so he didn't look 100% yesterday and he came off. So I think some players weren't at the levels that they can be yesterday. But there have been some poor performances recently, including the Madrid game, where I thought we were excellent in open play. I know the goals, again, came from mostly from set plays. But I still thought that we were sort of like created expected goals from open play. If we weren't doing that, I'd be worried, but we're not. We've got players who can do that. And I think as the season goes on and players come back, the likes of your Odegaards, I think that will improve.
I'm with you, Graham. Like, obviously, you mentioned Odegaard. We knew before the game that Odegaard was injured, Havertz is injured, Madueke is injured, Jesus is injured. Obviously, Gabriel Magalhaes. Now, maybe Mikel Arteta was doing that manager thing where you tell a bit of a lie, but I'm led to believe, or we're told that he pushed to be part of it. So there's still a bit of a lingering feeling with him. Hincapié was on the bench and came off the bench, but there's still kind of that with him. And then after the game, whether it's illness with Saka, whether it's Rice, Calafiori, I think Martinelli, they're kind of more injured players added to the list. Does it start to make you nervous? Because as you said then, I think you're right. Yeah, like the Atletico Madrid game and then the Crystal Palace game, there's got to be a correlation with it takes a lot physically out of you, and we still did the job. And now you look at the run of games we've got either side of the international break. Does it start to worry you? Even with Brighton 2 days from now, really? Like, can we really even rotate? Like, are you worried about the injuries? Especially Rice for me.
Well, obviously, you're always worried when key players get injured. I think the Brighton game this week, I expect to see a totally different 11 to Sunday. I think he'll play. I'll just rattle off what I think the team will be. I think it'll be a Kepa in goal. I think he'll play White, Mosquero, Hincapié, and Lewis Skelly as the back line. I think Norgard will be the DM. Then you'll have Wanyeri, probably Eze. And then you'll have a front three of Trossard, Martinelli, and Marino as the forward. So I think only really Eze and Trossard would survive from the starting 11 from Sunday. I think the other 9 either injured or rested won't play. So the Brighton game, we will heavily rotate. We have got a squad now that's quite a lot of depth in it, that enables him to do that. So, and it's still a pretty reasonable 11. And then obviously we come back on the weekend with the game away at Burnley, which is obviously a really big game, because we've got that 4-point lead now. So in answer to your question, I think he will rotate for the Brighton game, and we have got squad depth to cover that. Whether it'd be good enough to beat a Brighton team who are going to go strong is another question, but it is still a good side. And then obviously it's an aim to get the likes of Rice, maybe Calafiori and Saka right for the weekend. Obviously, when you're getting injured players all the time, it is a problem. But we have got squad depth now, which has really helped us in this first quarter of the season. It has really helped us. So, but yeah, if you're picking up injuries, it is a worry, no doubt about it. But all clubs pick up injuries. It's nothing. You have to manage it the best you can. But I do think that we've got squad depth now, and it's been shown over the last few games. But obviously, certain players are really key. But hopefully, Rice in particular is such an amazing player and so crucial to the team. Hopefully, he'll be all right for next weekend.
Exactly. And Rice is the big one for me beyond the obvious. Obviously, all the players, because it's all fun and games with squad depth. A lot of these players have played for their country. It's been like 2 international breaks. The games are coming thick and fast. The less players you have to pick, as everybody knows, the more you kind of run them into the ground. And I am getting a bit kind of nervous. Talk to me about Brighton quickly, because on one hand, yeah, I do think we need to rotate, whether that's slight rotation, massive rotation. But then on the other hand, Graham, I actually want to go strong. Like, I want to take this League Cup very seriously. Like, how serious do you want to take it? And should we be rotating? Because obviously you named like the back five. I think earlier in my stream I went with that back five. It's quite a good back five. That could be probably Chelsea's first choice back five. But then when you make these changes, you are going to see a team that looks a bit rusty, maybe not flowing how a first choice side would. So what do you say to that?
Well, what I'd say to that is, first of all, if you look at that back five at the moment, obviously Kepa is going to get the Carabao Cup anyway, so he's going to come in for Raya. If you look at that back line at the weekend, Gabriel was touch and go where he was going to start. I didn't think he would play, to be honest, but he played. So he's obviously slightly nursing an injury still. Saliba came off at half time with some sort of problem.
I forgot him.
Yeah, and then you've got Calafiori, who's now got a slight knock as well. Arteta said in his presser has got a slight problem. So those three definitely won't play. So that just means, are you going to play Durin Timber, who's so crucial on that right-hand side, when you've got Ben White, who's a perfectly able deputy, and Ben White, when you think about it, was first choice up until the last year or so. So, and I know he's coming back from an injury himself. So I don't see any problems with that back five. The question is, have you got enough in your midfield and your offensive line to hurt Brighton, I suppose, is what you're asking. I certainly think you need to have maybe, I think Gyökeres needs a rest. I do think that he's literally the amount of running and he's doing for the team at the moment in wide areas. I think he deserves the rest. Yeah. So I think Marino will come in for him and play in that position. I don't know about Martinelli. If he's got a strain, obviously that changes things. I don't know what the injury is there, if he's injured or not. I think Trossard maybe gets another game. Maybe I think Wanyeri deserves a chance. We've been saying he's
back. I went with off the top of my head, Graham, when I done an earlier stream.
What have you gone with then?
I tried to consider like some man might not be there. I think Arteta kind of half said that Martinelli would be okay. I went with the same back line you went with. So Kepa, Hincapié, Mosquera, White, Miles Lewis-Skelly. I want Rice because I'd rather him instead of Zubimendi, but I went with Marino and Zubimendi. I kind of want Eze there for like an hour. Gyökeres the same. So I've gone with Eze, Gyökeres. I know I want to see Wanyeri in the 10, but needs must. So Wanyeri do a job at least from the start of the game for me, right wing. And then Martinelli, if he's there. Obviously, the caveat is we don't know if several players are there, but I just want to make sure we still have a threat. And I think Eze and Gyökeres provides that.
Yeah, well, I've got Eze in the team. So I've got Eze as one of my two players who I play from the start, who started yesterday.
Let's do your team. So we got the same. Well,
my team, I went with the back five. I think Norgard. So I've gone with the same back five as you. Then I've got Norgard as the defensive midfielder for the simple reason that you've got to give him some game time, basically. Pardon?
These are the games for him. This is why you're brought in for things like this.
Yeah. And let's face it, I still think he's a very good player, Norgard. He was one of Brentford's best players. So I think he could. Yeah, of course. So he could do a job at defensive midfield for us. And then you're looking at two attacking players ahead of your front three. I think Wanyeri on the right-hand side. I'd rather have Wanyeri. I think he'd do a job on the right, but we noticed last year when he played on the right for Saka, he wasn't quite as effective. I don't think he can offer in those wide areas what a winger like a Saka can do. I think he's better in the Odegaard role in the right eight, where you've got I've got him to the left of the right winger, and then I want Eze on the other side. I want to play Eze on the left eight. The simple reason that's his strongest suit, rather than playing on the right side. So Eze on the left, Wanyeri on the right, and then if Martinelli is fit, Martinelli on the right, Trossard on the left, and then Marino down the middle. That would be my 11. Then I would have maybe the one or two players from the 11 yesterday on the bench who could come on after 60, 65 if we're we're in the game, it's 1-1, or we need to chase the game. If you want to do that, but I just think that you've got to give everybody in the squad game time, and the likes of
keep them warm.
Yeah, you've got to keep them fresh, just in case there was major injuries. So there's no point not playing Norgard. Then all of a sudden we get major injuries and he has to come in having not played all season.
And so you bring him to be good enough.
Yeah, of course. So I think the back four, rest the back four, that is still a very strong back four. White, Mosquera, Hincapié and Lewis-Skelly. I think that's a very good back four. Norgard's in front of it. And then you've got two attacking eights in Wanyeri and Eze. Two wide players in Martinelli and Trossard, and Marino playing down the middle where he was quite effective last year. That's still not a bad team for me. Obviously, it's not top quality in terms of what we had over the last few weeks. With key players like Saka, Gyökeres, Declan Rice in particular, and obviously Gabriel and Saliba missing, but it's still a good side.
I'm with you with that. It's just the only thing is obviously we do need to give them game times. It's just I don't expect it to be at a sparkling best. And more than anything, it's maybe I'm overselling Brighton, but it's more the fact that we're playing Brighton, and I know it's a League Cup, but I always say I want to take this seriously. I think Brighton have a good manager. They got problems that can harm us. I don't know if he's fit, but the Matomas of this world, the Welbecks, we're gonna still need to be good. And I think one thing you indirectly alluded to, I second it. It's like just because whether it was my 11 or the 11 we've got here, which is slightly changed, guys are going to have to come off the bench. It'd be nice to see Hincapié and White get 90 minutes just to get a bit more fit, but I don't know if they've got 90 minutes in the legs. And then you look at an Eze, probably an Eze in particular, and maybe even Trossard, because he's our first choice left winger. Those two probably don't have 90 minutes in the tank. So I think, you know what? It is strong enough to go out there. How serious do you want us to take this League Cup? Because it is the first opportunity to win some silverware. It is the first opportunity to win something in the season. Might give us a boost on top of everything we've got now.
Well, I want to win the trophy as much as you do. So, yeah, we should take it seriously. But you can't say by putting out that 11 that we're not taking it seriously. And if we had the likes of Timber on the bench, the likes of even if Saka's fit, I don't know what his situation is. Saka on the bench, Gyökeres on the bench. We've still got players who could come off the bench and influence the game. I still think that's a strong side. I do want to take the League Cup seriously. I do think it's a long time since we've won it. We haven't won it for over 30 years.
Exactly.
And Brighton are a team who are on their day really good. Watching them against Man United Saturday night, they weren't great. But they are a lot better than that. Mintoma is injured at the moment, I understand, but they've still got players in wide areas like Minter who are very good players. They beat us last year, didn't they? I'm pretty sure they beat us last year at the Amex. Someone will correct me if I'm wrong. No, they drew with us, didn't they? I think it was a draw. I think they got a penalty. Yeah, got a penalty. But they knocked us out. They knocked us out the Carabao Cup a couple of years ago. I remember that at the Emirates. And Danny Welbeck is scoring goals at the moment. He's been around a long time, but what a goal he's got on Saturday night. So they've got some good offensive players. Their form's a bit up and down, but on their day, they are a good side, and it'll be a tough game. And obviously, if we play that 11 we lost, we'll probably get accused of not taking it seriously. But I still think that team on paper is a really good side with maybe 2 or 3 on the bench to come on. But what you've got to remember is the key really is the Premier League and the Champions League. These players have had a very hard schedule over the last few weeks. Few of them are carrying knocks. And you run the risk if you play them in another game that the injuries get worse, and then we can't play them in the big games. So he bought a lot of these players like your Keppers, your Norgards, your Mosqueros, and Hincapié. I can never say his name right. It's Hincapié, isn't it?
I got like 1 minute I'm told it's Hincapié, Unks, and then I'm told it's Hincapié.
Hincapié. But what I'm saying is,
both.
Yeah, but I'm saying that those players like Mosquero and him and Norgard were built to add depth to the squad for games like this.
When we want to, obviously.
Yeah, and obviously Mendueki's out at the moment with injury. But so I've got faith in those players. I think they're good players. We have got home advantage, of course, which is something. If we were playing away from home, you might argue that maybe we need to go a bit stronger, but we are at home.
Yeah.
So I think it's a good 11. I mean, hopefully it's good enough to beat Brighton. But I do think, in answer to your question, we should take every trophy we're in this year seriously. And it is the first chance to get silverware. I agree.
Well, that means Saka starting in it. I just know Arteta, if Saka is able to be somewhat level of fit, he's going to play him. And maybe not so much Saka, but Saka and Gyökeres. As much as I agree with everything we've been saying, and especially around resting the squad, I know it's not the same competition, but I always think to myself, if we played on Saturday, Sunday, and it was on the Tuesday, Wednesday, this was the Champions League, beyond the obvious, would I be saying what I'm saying? So if I wouldn't be saying that, then they're fit enough. And I think I'd love to see Saka get on the score sheet again. I think Gyökeres needs a bit of goals as well. That's another side note. What did you make of Gyökeres in particular against Palace?
Well, he worked hard for the team, worked hard in wide areas. I thought he didn't have his greatest game, I'll be honest. I want to see more from him. But at the same time, he's he got the 2 goals on Wednesday night against Madrid.
Atletico.
Yeah, let's go. So, if you're just judging on yesterday's performance, he wasn't great. But then a lot of the team weren't great, were they? So I wouldn't necessarily just say he wasn't great and no one else and everyone else was. I think he was in a team that just did enough to win yesterday. So overall, though, I'm not too dissatisfied. I think there's more to come. I liked his performance in the week. I think he deserved his 2 goals. I think he is working hard for the team. He is dragging players away from positions, creating space for others. I'd just like to see him getting more shots off, I suppose, when he gets into positions. We talked about what can we do to be more expansive. I would like to see him putting him in positions where he can get shots away. So overall, his performance yesterday wasn't great, but he had a good performance on Wednesday night.
When do you start to get concerned about Gyökeres? No, I don't want to be that guy, but I've got to ask,
man. Well, if he's not scoring goals, obviously we bought him to score goals, and if he's not, if he's not scoring, I think obviously there will be concerns, no doubt about it. He's got now 5, hasn't he? For us, 3 in the league and 2 in the Champions League. Yeah. In about 11 games, is it? Something like that. I think he's played all 9 in the league, and he's played 2. And I think 2 in the Champions. Is it 3? Yeah, 12. I think. Yeah, he's got. Is it 5 in 12? And I think did he come off? He came off the bench against Portugal, didn't he? Yeah, he's played. He started 12 and 1 sub appearance, I think. So he's got 5. Which is probably less than you would hoped. Let's put it that way. But you've got to remember, he's come into the team. He's finding his way into the team. I know Haaland just hit the ground running, but he's Haaland. Yeah. So I think, when would I get concerned? If the goals are totally drying up, but I think all the time the team's winning. It's a funny thing, isn't it, in football? When the team's winning, you can get away with it more. If the team was losing or not scoring, or not scoring goals, let's put it that way. If the team are not scoring goals and he's not scoring goals, then you change the striker, don't you? All the time the team are winning and scoring goals, and all right, we haven't scored a massive amount of goals, but we are still. It's not as if we're not scoring. So I think all the time we're doing that, I think he gets, he gets that sort of like wide berth, so to speak. He gets that time in the team, and I think all the time the team's winning, he gets away with it in a way. It's a horrible thing to say, gets away with it, but you understand what I'm saying?
For want of a better phrase, but it is. It's not get away. It's like it goes under the radar. It's like even the open play stuff we're talking about. Obviously, everyone can see it. Everyone can recognize it. Everyone would like it to change. Me, you, the chat, Mikel Arteta, everyone. But if we had if we was in the moment Liverpool are in right now, then oh my God, we're just scoring from set pieces. We need to do this. We need to do that.
Yeah, but I mean, the other thing is, DJ, if Havertz was fit or Jesus was fit, we could help him out a bit by a bit of respite. He could come off after 60 minutes. He could get the odd game where he doesn't play, but he's had to play every single game for the simple reason that Jesus is still not fit and Havertz is got injured as well and he's not fit. So he's had to play every game. We've got no one else, have we, who can, unless we're going to put Marino down the middle. So I think from that point of view, he's had to play every minute. So I think we have to give him a little bit of latitude for that. Whereas he is our number 1 striker now, in my opinion. But there have been times in games where we could have rotated him. Another thing is that might benefit him. You talked about what we can do to slightly change things up and be slightly more expansive or change the way we play. When Havertz is fit, Havertz and Gyökeres could be like a 2 up top. Where he could play Havertz just off Gyökeres, and that also might benefit him.
100%.
So there's, so I think that he's yesterday. You talked about I suppose I should mention this. Yesterday, he was up against 3 centre halves. So basically, they played a back 3, 2 wing backs. So he's the lone striker,
just like Man United.
Yeah, he's got occupied. He's being occupied by 3 centre halves. So it's not easy when you're up against a back line like that, unless you're going to push someone high up with him into another forward into the front line. So I think from that point of view, yesterday it was difficult for him because he was up there on his own against a team that really didn't want to play. They literally just sat behind the ball, so he didn't really get we didn't give him much, did we? He was feeding off scraps really yesterday. So I just think overall yesterday it was all about getting the result really for me yesterday, and we got the result.
And that's all it's about. The result come. That's my mentality this whole season. Of course, I want one of our playmakers or Eze or Odegaard to be up there for assists in the league. I want Gyökeres to be up there for goals. I want the clean sheets. I don't think we're going to do it, but I want Chelsea's honours for the 15 goals. I want all of that. But the main thing is the 3 points for what we're trying to achieve. I feel sorry for Gyökeres, but then I don't feel sorry for him. And what I mean by that is, like you said, like we all know the backdrop of what he came in. We're crying out for a striker. His statistics were unbelievable. He needs to adapt. Havertz has been injured. Obviously, the dynamics of playing for Sporting Lisbon in Portugal and obviously at Arsenal are very different. And also we know, it sounds mad to say, and I don't know any other way of phrasing it, but it's like goals are the least important from a striker in a Mikel Arteta system. The man's not an idiot. Obviously, he wants a goal scorer and he brought Gyökeres, but you got to be able to drop deep, occupy centre halves, link up with the wide men, allow other players to, either it's the midfielders to make late runs or like you said, the wingers. So I knew all of this, but then I look at it in that any striker, if we got Isaac, Hugo Ekitike, if we knew that you were going to have to do this, so did Gyökeres, right? I just need a bit more. I feel sorry for him because you look at some of the games, yeah, it hasn't been kind to him. Like Marco Silva, nasty mid and low block. You're not going to get any change. You're going to get occupied. Bilbao the same. Manchester City the same. You mentioned it. Manchester United the same. Liverpool, more time. The big games, we know our strikers are cancelled out. I would actually say Newcastle, like Waltmade and Gyökeres, weren't actually in the game like that. Obviously, Waltmade has scored and Gyökeres had the pen shout. So I do feel sorry for him. Do you think he needs to do a bit more is not the right thing, but like a little bit more of individual brilliance? I know there's not always space, but you look at the Leeds goal, for example, he's just made that himself. And if I can remember correctly, I think in the second half against Palace, he had, and I know we're just trying to see out the lead, Unks, but there was a couple of times he kind of had the ball and I was thinking, oh, you know what? You might as well try something and fluff these lines, if I'm honest.
I thought you saw in the Fulham game a guy basically who had not been scoring goals. He was a couple of times in shooting positions, but I thought a couple of times in that game, particularly the first chance when he shot straight at Leno from a wide angle, there was a player better positioned in the box who, if he got his head up, he should have squared it and someone might have had a tap in. And I think so when you talk about he needs to be doing more, he needs to be scoring goals, that's putting I'm not saying that we're putting pressure on him, but he will feel the pressure of not scoring, and that leads to him having shots probably from positions where he's not going to score, simply because he just wants to get a shot at goal because he's under pressure.
He did that against Olympiacos.
Yeah, of course. And I think I'd rather he sort of like had the manager was saying to him, do you know what? Keep working hard for the team. You're part of this team. If you see a player in a better position, just give him the ball. Don't worry that you're not scoring. I've got belief in you. I know the goals will come.
Don't be a hero.
Yeah, don't be a hero. Just sort of like do the things for the team. And yet, to be fair to him, he has been doing that. He's been very unselfish in the runs he makes. He's pulling players out of positions to create space, as I said earlier. So he is playing for the team. And I just think that maybe it's up to the team, really, as we get to know him better, maybe just to give him that chance, give him that half yard on someone to get in a really good position. So as much as the onus is on him, what can he be doing better? I think the question is also, what can the team be doing better to actually help him, And if there is a pass on quickly, if he's made a run off the centre half, if he is in a good position, just give him the ball quickly and enable him to get a shot off. And you know what? Sometimes, more often than not, you get a shot off in a really good position around the 6-yard box or around the penalty box, around the square in the middle of the goal, you get a goal. So I think that we should be doing a little bit more for him also. But I do think the goal is going to come. I think what you'll find with a lot of goal scorers, DG, you follow the game a long time like I have. They go through barren spells. And I know last year he was in a weaker league and he took penalties last year, which inflated his numbers. But what will probably happen in the next few weeks is, if he's still in the team and Havertz hasn't come back to share the workload, he'll probably get a couple of goals in a league game, and then he'll go on a run in a league.
That's what I'm waiting for. It's only been 8 games. Like I know football's gone hyper, but you can't write him off yet.
Yeah, and all strikers go through. Even Haaland's been through a few, not very often, but he's been through the odd lean spell. So it could yet just where he goes on a run, and then all these questions we've asked will go away, won't they? So yes, maybe he needs to be doing a little bit more. I take your point, but maybe the team needs to be doing more for him as well.
I definitely think it's more the team in it, because I understand the collective comes first. I understand that Arteta's got his demands of what he wants from every individual, and I also, as much as I'm kind of cutting excuses for Gyökeres, I'm not cutting excuses, because you would have had a conversation with Mikel Arteta about how he sees you, kind of what you're doing now. You're fitting in. You're not standing out. So that's why I think it's confidence, because there's another realm here, which to a degree I'd prefer, but I wouldn't, in that, you know, the 8-9 Premier League games we've played already, he scored in all of them. But across the 90 minutes, when we're using our eyes, he's really not affecting the game. He's doing all the other stuff well, and I think he's getting better and better at that regards. It's more, I would say, from the Newcastle game now, it's like, you are getting some half-hearted chances, but you're not taking them. But I still think we need more creation. I do think once players get fit and we allow, you know, like when Odegaard's fit and he's starting every week with an Eze, naturally the relationships will start to build, because players need to be available, innit? I do want to ask you something lastly on Gyökeres though. Like, obviously, you know, it's 8 games. We're going to give him time and whatnot. And I'm saying to sell him, because regardless of how it pans out, he did everything he effing could to sign for this club. So he'll always have a supporter in me. But if we get to May, or better yet, the end of the season, whether we've won the league or not, and we're still saying this about Gyökeres, and we concede that, yeah, he's not really the answer, do we sign another striker, whoever that is? Like, and then he's just part of the squad?
Well, I'm interested to know how you would, what in that scenario then, what will the numbers be for you, or what would it be then for you to think like that? Because
I
why
need 15, 20 Gyökeres, man.
Pardon?
I need 15, 20 from Gyökeres.
So you want it's about goals. So you're saying if he doesn't get 15, 20 goals,
yeah, I'm asking, do you change up things?
Yeah. Well, let's sort of look back on it. Really, I mean, first of all, we wanted to sign for Arsenal. Sesko, we were debating in the summer. I did a couple of tactical reviews on AFTV with James.
Big up James.
Yeah, big up James. On Gyökeres or Sesko, we were sort of split who we should go for. You know, who was a better player. Gyökeres was more the here and now, because he's 27. I've been banging him in Portugal. Sesko was more one for the future, although his numbers weren't so great in the Bundesliga. But when it came to shove, Sesko did not want to sign for Arsenal.
He was scared of Kai Havertz.
Pardon?
He was scared of Kai Havertz. Like the Athletic.
Yeah, exactly. He didn't want to come. So I'd much rather have a player sign for Arsenal who wants to play for the club. And he did everything possible to demonstrate he wanted to play for the club. He signed on a reduced contract. He could have gone for more money in another league. He actually helped us get that move over the line. His whole heart was set on Arsenal. And I love that in the player. And that's the first thing. So what have we got here? We've got a guy who is a goal scorer, a number 9, who basically over the last few years has got as good a numbers as anyone in Europe, albeit in a league that's not as strong as the Premier League.
As well.
Yeah, in not as strong a league. So we have still got a good striker. And I don't think he should be judged on one season, DG. I think when you look at it, Henry, when he first came, didn't hit the ground running. Bergkamp took a long time to settle. So I think, and they became like legends of the club, the greatest ever players of the club. Gyökeres do well to achieve what they've achieved, but I still think there's something about him that I think he's going to succeed at the club. And I think we need to give him time. So in answer to your question, if it comes to the season, he hasn't got 15, 20. Well, maybe then we need to consider, do we need to go get another striker as well? Well, it's something that we could consider, but I certainly wouldn't give up on Gyökeres.
No. I'm not suggesting that.
And I think it depends who's out there. No, good strikers in Europe at the moment are not easy to find. And you've got to remember, when we were looking around to bring someone in, the cupboard I thought was quite bare. I didn't think there was a lot of, we're just talking about Sesko. We were talking about Gyökeres.
About 5 men, if anything.